Whoa, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary.
Okay. No, no.
Hey, buddy.
Hey there. What's up?
That was really awesome what you read yesterday. It was a good reminder for me anyway.
Mm.
Yesterday morning.
Cool. Yeah. Well, thanks.
I was like, it was so funny how from a self perspective, it was like, at first I was like, golly, like, is Chad sending a message to me? Is Chad sending a message to Grizz? Is what, like, I'm like, my head was going all over the place. And it was like,
Yeah.
no, I'm listening to this for me. It's none of my business what's going on in other people's heads. So it was kind of nice as a reminder,
Nice.
What's
Yeah.
been going on with you?
Well, Carolyn's sleeping right now, and she gets up at like 8:45, maybe a couple hours. And then Anne's going to go off to a farmer's market with a friend. And I was going to continue this story that I was kind of playing with last night. And because I thought that, and because it's a hard one to kind of what's going on? What was that?
Maybe an internet glitch. You know,
Did you hear? What did you stop last? What you heard?
no, there's been a little bit of roboting from you that I see. I don't know how I'm coming out. Like right now, you're frozen. Now you're back. So it's kind of intermittent. Maybe the internet's intermittent. I like, though, the idea of you processing the whole character development thing, you know?
Yeah. Mm. All right. Well, do you have a? What do you think the American's dream is?
I would say it's probably I mean, as an American, not a Christian, just an American, I would say it's probably the first couple lines of the Declaration of Independence, wouldn't it be? I mean, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I guess if you're actually, pointing specifically at the pursuit of happiness, then it probably gets down to what I consider to be happy, right? And for me, it would probably be having quality relationships, if I can, with family, right? Quality relationships with friends, people that I engage with, and doing life together, whether it be activities like we do in this space with play, some of the play and the creative. It's like that's so fun. Creating things together and feeling like really happy that we collectively did something, like you guys with the zine, the little zine. And it's kind of like it's special. And so those experiences together seem to rise and create something much larger than if you were by yourself trying to do it.
It's interesting that you said not as a Christian but as a American. And to me, that idea, those ought not to be like. But that's my own personal. So like that's part of the American's dream is that and that's why I'd like actually Tyler to come in if you would, but where you have like it's nice to know what it looks like from them, their point of view, like, and but also like whatever the specifics are for you or for whoever is I think is it's weird. It's the American dream is nominal. Yeah, maybe that's right. Yeah, but I like that. I mean, that's what dreams are, right? Dreams themselves, like the actual phenomenon of a dream is highly personal. And sorry. Oh, okay. Cody Rhodes. I don't know what Cody Rhodes is. I do. I'd like to know like what does the American dream from an outside perspective, like from your point of view, Tile, like what was your interaction with Americans, and what has your interaction with Americans been like? What was it like to visit? Is there something in the dream itself that as a somebody who's not American, is there something there that you kind of long for yourself? And so what I include in my American dream is kind of like I don't know what Cody Rhodes is.
You know what though? Don't you think that we may have this idea because, right, America started and did this thing or whatever, but it was clearly built on something. So we claim this idea, but at the end of the day, it is a shared, maybe it's the implicit, but it's a shared dream. Whether we're calling it an American dream, that's probably from our take. But at the end of the day, the idea, if you don't label it just the American dream, the idea itself, I think all nations that know freedom or understand the idea of freedom or understand the idea of this dream, there's like this shared thing, that we desire, and it is the same. And that does, to your point, come back to the creator, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think that I mean, I think that all of these different perspectives of the dream, we all come to the table with a particular understanding of what that dream is, and I think that is something inside of that is like there's like an average or whatever that you could kind of like map out, but and some people have like even like Rob. I love Rob. I mean, like the way that he would probably characterize it much and he would have some not so great things to say about it, and yet he's able to live and thrive in a country that is America. And so there are people who have perspectives on the American dream who can only see a particular parts about it, and sometimes those are only good and sometimes those are only bad. But
it's hard to step it out of a hyperbolic frame when it emotionally affects you. I would say I can sympathize with that side of the myopic vision, and framework. It's hard. It's hard to walk another mile in another man's shoes, regardless.
Yeah. Well, I think that I feel like anybody who's been living in America has been living the American dream. That's part of my understanding of the dream. Sometimes the dream is a nightmare, and sometimes it's elation.
Yeah.
It's mostly uneventful. Because I was thinking about this, our friend Bison. Who's this? RS. Is that Rob? That's not Rob. Anyhow. Forgot what I was going to say.
Nightmare dreams.
Oh yeah, our friend Bison was asking me if he mentioned the movie There Will Be Blood, and as like a question, is this the American dream? Excuse me. And like I think actually I don't know exactly what he was pointing to there, but I'm assuming that he was pointing to like to become rich and powerful, to find oil and you know to find black gold and to turn it into an empire is the American dream. And I would say that some people have that dream, but the American dream doesn't include um, it's not a requirement for your dream to have treasure and riches. Like it doesn't it's not a necessity. It's, like if that's not included in your dream, then that's okay. If
Don't you think the irony of people that do have wealth or success or fame find themselves I was thinking about, there's a great interview by the guy, God, I can't ever remember his name. The guy that did the new Reacher series and his conversion story to Christianity. And he had this suicidal moment in his story where he was literally hanging himself from the rafters. And it was just, he's all alone. And he's got like this fame and this fortune and all these great things that are happening. It's like you hear that story over and over and over. And I think to myself, I am so honestly, genuinely grateful that I don't have a lot of money. That I'm not that I don't have some abundance that doesn't allow me to have the things that to be able to participate in what I'm doing with you. Like if I had those things, where would I be? Maybe I'd be skiing in Aspen or, but with a bunch of people that I'm not connected to, right? Not that in touch with, but I get to spend time with you or time with anybody that I love and interact with and have these experiences and conversations. And there's so much more depth. Whereas when you have all this money or fame, you have to, do they like me because of this or that? Or, it's like these all the things that go on with that. And so I'm really grateful because I think I would be very corrupted with money if I had money. I think my sins, my character defects would be challenged. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't need money for my character defects or sins to be challenged. It's again, this is
That's a good point.
Like it's the yeah, I do think security, at least from my perspective on the American dream, security is a part of that. And like, I don't actually think you have to be an American or live in America to have to dream to have these kinds of aspirations or hopes or desires. It just so happens that I am an American and I have these hopes and desires. So like when it's funny because when Paul Evander Clay would say something about his perspective, he would say, well, this is my Calvinism talking. And then Luke would be like, yeah, but that's just Christianity. It's kind of like that, right? Like where it's like, and this is my perspective talking that this is on the American dream. And then somebody would be like, yeah, but you don't have to live in America to have that. And I would say, that's true. And I think like, but part of my identity is that I am an American. And I think it's a big piece, but now I'm not patriotic in the classic sense or anything like that. Like I don't even have a flag flying in my yard, but I love that. I love the symbol of the flag, and I love seeing it. I do have a tension with it. There's a tension with And much in the same way that I have with some of my family. Like I love them very much, and I have a lot of hopes and desires for our relationship, and yet those have not come to fruition in the way that I would like. And there is some resentment connected with that, and there's some deep love that I don't know why it remains, but it does. And I think that's my relationship with the American dream. Um, so it's not all sparkly, and like I think that we've made a lot of mistakes, but yeah, I love being an American. I love that aspect of my identity. Um,
What'd you think of that video that Steve showed on monitoring the situation? Did you watch that music video?
yeah, I hated that video.
What did you dislike about it?
A lot of things. Um,
It was uncomfortable because there was this duality of, are we gonna die or are we gonna survive?
the yeah, um, the actual you know, um, let's say the narrative in the video, I thought was fine. I like the the question that is raising. That's cool. That to me, there's actually nothing really original about that. Um, it's a little doomy, um, and I don't know how um, how much I need to revisit that question. I mean, excuse me, that question is just so tired to me. But I guess that question has always been present in the mind of the American. I don't know if I don't know if the English have that same question. Have always had that question in mind. Um, but I think America has always had that question present.
Always at the fork.
Yeah, will we survive or not? So I think it's a humble question. It can be. It can be a humble question. I didn't like the use of uh, um, the use of the AI music. I thought it was lazy and distasteful. I don't like. I'd rather just hear. I'd rather just go listen to a bunch of Taylor Swift records, honestly, because that's
No,
who
I
it's
agree 100%. There was no
it
human touch
complete.
to that.
Well, it ripped off Taylor Swift. If
Yeah.
you want to know the what 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 the fake Taylor Swift was singing about and the questions that she was asking, you could just go listen to the Taylor Swift's entire discography, and you'll get kind of like a better position on the question, a more human one. It'll take you more work, but to have some artificial Taylor Swift um, asking this kind of like using this lazy method, it wasn't interesting to me. Of course, I love the old like there are channels out there that you can find old uh, home videos of families. And I love those. I love watching those things. I've used some of them for my own branding stuff. And so those are that aspect of the video is really was beautiful. Everything else about it to me was just like boring. And I mean, I do find it charming that there are some people who just love the thing. That to me is funny and charming, and um, they're in the dream too. So it is what it is.
It is weird how enjoyable it is to watch the people that came before us doing hard work or even playing hard, like running down the hill, or um, it reminds me of when you see like videos of the guys building skyscrapers before, there was welding, like they're walking these beams. Um, it's just like doing lunch at the top of the clouds, another day at the office type thing, and or like you had the sawmill and the guys cutting the wood, and it's like it's just there's something fascinating about really enjoying watching the beginnings of a group that set a foundation of where we are.
Yeah. What's up, Tile?
How's it going, brother?
Man, it's good to see you. Sorry we didn't give you any space to say anything last night, dude.
No, I was there I was expecting. I came on because I thought you were having a chill session whilst you write and play some
Yeah.
music in the background, and I was going to do the same and cook while you were doing what you were doing. So I had nothing to say.
Yeah.
Brett and I were in a Discord estuary till like 1 a.m. my time, and I still had all the energy from a good conversation. So I thought instead of forcing myself to sleep by doom scrolling, I'll do some cooking. And I saw you were live, so I jumped on.
I had this thought last night because I was watching. What the hell was it? Oh, it's a guy. You ever see like these videos that pop up where it's like, somebody takes and makes something, and you're just watching the whole video, and you're wondering, why am I watching this useless video of like, it's a guy who like this guy took two 90-degree PVC elbows and cut the back half of them off and then glued them together, and then so he can make like a T for a pipe, and then he like threaded it, and it was like, this is a complete waste of time. You could just go buy the T PVC and glue the pipe, and I'm like, why am I watching this? And it's kind of like and so I was thinking about what's the opposite of doom scrolling, and what came to mind was dull scrolling, where you just find like some useless bullshit video just to watch. It's nothing. It's dull. It's
just another
to me, doom scrolling.
It's another fragment of the Screw Tape Letters, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So T, I'd love some perspective here on what we're talking
Okay,
about.
yeah. On the American Dream. I was born 95 in Lagos, Nigeria, so quite removed from America. But the American Dream, best I could understand it, was presented to me by Curtis Jackson through his album Get Rich or Die Trying, and that was the American Dream, is that get rich or die trying. That's 50 Cent for those not informed.
Yeah. Classic, all-time classic hip-hop record.
Genuinely, I think that 50 Cent might be the biggest American exports like ever, because my experience is not unique. I've spoken to my friends in Kenya, my friends from Afghanistan, and that album reached everywhere. There was one of the merch was a wife beater with the album cover on it, and I saw that most of my life growing up, just everywhere.
I think I listened to that record for like 2 years straight, every day at least.
It's part of the uh, appeal is just for a lot of countries, in a lot of third world countries, was that knowing that there's a level of wealth available somewhere on this planet, and there are other people currently enjoying it. Why can't I be one of them? That was sort of the motivation. Like, okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
but there's an aspect of that record too that I think includes deep parts of the American dream, which are so yeah, you have a lot. That's a really good record to kind of do this exercise with. I love this. Yeah, so like 21 Questions to me is like one of the best tracks on the record. It's a deep part of the American dream to find a companionship. Um, Many Men is a great track about survival. So you got survival, you got heart. Uh,
social wisdom. It's all there.
yeah. It is. Yeah. So what would be the social? Was heat social, or was patiently waiting?
Patiently waiting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that definitely would be social. Wisdom, wisdom would be.
Wait, social's in the club. What are we talking about?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, dude. So patiently waiting was wisdom, then I guess.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, so from the outside looking in, which was sort of your question and what you wanted me to bring in, America is the empire. America is the center of modernity for most of us because that's where we got informed about modernity through, like I just mentioned, the music, the films as well. Um, gave us from the outside an impression of America as a well, what it says it is, land of the free, home of the brave, and where anyone can make it. And I think to a lot of people moving to America, that's the dream that they're pursuing, is that get rich or die trying, making it out of a bad situation into a better situation.
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah, I
it
think.
interesting? Isn't it interesting that like and I don't know where this comes from. I'm just thinking how as I as I grew up and started seeing the world and realizing, yes, I don't want to take what we have for granted and I'm proud of what we have, right? But yet at the same token, I still like my brother visited Dubai, and I got to hear of some of the fascinating and amazing things that they do over there, and the some of the advancements, the technology, the beauty that you see in a country like that, or even Japan was kind of a lure like that, like Tokyo, and like the idea that there's this other thing that could potentially be something that even Americans seem to like. We don't do those things anymore. We don't do a Mount Rushmore anymore. We're not striving for a grand anymore. And so it's like it seems like we're always self-reflecting on the fork in the road type thing. Like what are we doing? You know?
Well, I think we do the Mount Rushmore still. It's just it might not be as it might not be visible in 100 years, or 10, or 5. I think I think Joe Rogan is a Mount Rushmore um, artifact. The Joe Rogan show. I think it's those kinds of things that are um, kind of like well, it's the hyper object, I guess, to use a Vervakian word.
Well, it's more like you mentioned his show. It's really the Joe Rogan experience. And so it's like that's an experiential aspect of a Mount Rushmore thing. But like the idea of us collectively coming together and trying to build something that could potentially not happen in our lifetime, that we're building on, that another generation is going to build on further. And
I
we're all,
think we
like,
are. I think we did. We contributed to it. We all said yes to Google. We said yes by accepting GPS as a tool, which and we inspired people to build YouTube. We inspired people to grow Google, and all of that contributes to creating the new the next expression of Mount Rushmore, which is the Joe Rogan. It's not just the Joe Rogan experience. We've all kind of
yeah, I think that's
contributed.
right.
To Brett's point, though, I do think there's been an obvious shaking of the American arrogance, the confidence,
Yeah.
better put, particularly the last 15 years or so, where the fork in the road had always been a feature, but it's become more prominent. It feels like since the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years, basically 9/11 onwards, where the reaction to the terrorist attack basically rewrote the American dream for lots of non-Americans as well, because now America is the were just theoretically the big bad now, particularly for people my generation. We can see the power being used and being the meme of America goes wherever they want to grab the oil. If you've got if
Yeah.
there's a if you overcook, if there's too much oil in your cooking, the meme is careful, America might invade your house to get the oil. So that's part of the American dream from the outside looking in as well. And it's been
Yeah.
a bigger part of it the last however many years.
Yeah, and I think we have some attributes that we're not comfortable with owning. That's for sure. But then so the kind of the flip side of that is so like I can see how America has made its way, or the American dream has made its way to a young man in the UK, and he, like I kind of feel like you even get to participate a little bit in that dream, maybe even contribute to it still, even though you're not American. You know what I mean?
I hope not. Because,
Is
like I
there-
said,
Right, but
the
like-
dream's a nightmare from my point of view. Because America is Rome, America is Babylon, America
course.
is all of the empires coming down. So it's you pray for the peace of Babylon while you're in Babylon.
Let me ask you
That's the
something.
Christian posture.
Is it bad that I'm just trying to keep balance in it? Because, like, you think about Rome built roads that connected the known world. Like, so the the things, the values of some of these structures, the idea, like, so it's like, yeah, a lot of bad stuff, right? But I also wonder, I mean, we brought up America doing the oil thing. It's like, well, think about it this way. Like, what if someone else actually did get that? What would the world look like? Like, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying how we go about doing things is right. And I'm not saying we shouldn't challenge the decisions and the thoughts and stuff. But it's like, with my pea brain, I think I can imagine how, if we didn't do those things, what would it have been like to have someone else controlling certain things? And do we really think those others that would have been in control would have made the world better? I don't know. So again,
Well-
I'm not diminishing the negative aspects of Rome or of America, or you know what I mean? But like, just trying to keep it in proper perspective.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. There isn't a this empire did nothing but evil. Even Nebuchadnezzar was basically a prophet of God in most senses. So there's a the reason I react to the American dream the way that I do is because, like I said, I'm not of the empire. It makes sense that someone like you and Chad would be um, it would be more the benefit of this of the American dream would be more salient to you, and the benefit of the American dream for others, especially, would also be more salient to you because, I mean, for example, the last year or so, there's been the American government basically telling Europe, like, we're not going to keep protecting you. You guys have to look after yourself at some point. And this whole alliance that's been going on, which has basically been on our back, we're not so comfortable going through it. And that is a form of protection that Chad said is the part of the American dream, that the American dream has sort of afforded to its allies. And so, in that sense, yeah, absolutely. Even people that are not Americans are participating in an American dream. Now, the contributing to it is what I reacted to because I don't see the American dream as the kingdom. It's all these kingdoms are all fallen kingdoms, and yes, God does use evil, and God can do good amongst evil, but the worldly kingdoms are still the worldly kingdoms,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't want to, be contributing to the prosperity of the worldly kingdom over the, kingdom that I believe I've been pulled into. Praise God.
Yeah.
But
So
also, the other part, sorry, to add is I'm I'm a proud member of the British Empire. I think the British Empire is much better than the American Empire. But again, I'm very much biased. But I think there is something to the fact that the British actually went to the places and governed. The American geopolitical influence is very much soft power, and it's just paying tax to Rome, more of a thing that a lot of people, this is the way they govern. The British sent people that had to travel to India, to Africa, and most of them died on their way. So they were skin in the game in a way that was, now again, did they all do great things? No, but a lot of them were also missionaries, and a lot, like for example, one of them was instrumental in the translation of the Bible to my language, Yoruba. So that was a big part of the British Empire. So as far as worldly empire goes, I think the British Empire is more net good than the American Empire currently is. But
It's
you're right.
funny that I was thinking about the prophecy of the statue, and how they were talking about the golden head, the bronze, body,
Mhm.
and how as it trickles down, it gets weaker and weaker and weaker to the point where it's clay, feet with all these divided toes. So I mean, you can't help not see the doomer, trend in, as much as we, the kingdom of God is different, obviously, how we see that, but the powers and principalities, to your point, it definitely seems like there's advantages to them, but yet also, it's weird.
so
Yeah.
just like a practical uh, uh, motif of the American dream for me is, or maybe it's a personal one. It's a young girl is born in Idaho, and her mother dies, and her father remarries, and that woman adopts that young girl. That young girl is raised in a pretty good home, I think. Probably, I'm not sure if she was raised in a religious home, but she eventually, the young girl grows into a young lady who is pursued by a young man who has engineering capabilities. At least decent ones, nothing magnificent. They get married and move to California, and that young lady takes up the opportunity and teaches herself how to become a real estate agent, builds her own real estate company, has a son, adopts a young girl who was like 4 or 5, whose birth mother wasn't a very good birth mother. Then then that girl that she adopts ends up meeting a young man, and they start a family. And and so like that's my personal story of my mother and my grandmother, and there's a lot of heartbreak in that story, and yet there's a lot of potential yet in that story, and I'm still affected by that story. Excuse me. So to me, that's a perspective on the American dream, and also there's the lesser aspects or the unattractive aspects of that story inspire me to move away from those kinds of pitfalls and into something more wholesome, so that my daughter doesn't have to experience the kinds of pitfalls that I had to. So, so we're changing perspective here. Hang on a second.
What's crazy too is that if you think about it, like I was thinking about what you were just saying, Chad. On the last stream, we were talking about perspectives of women and when they tell a story versus men. And I was thinking about, like, my grandfather was probably one of the first, well, my great-great-grandfather, who ends up coming to America, starting a grocery store. There was this American dream, right? Provided for his family enough to have his grandson be able to go to college, become an engineer, did a little work for NASA, and so like he seeked the education route, because it was a time in the world where that was a lot more possible, having a family and a house and creating this. And then my dad's generation went through the therapeutic side, where now it's like we're working on the mental, trying to break some family trends, like alcoholism and things like that, where they were trying to, correct the ship. And now, like my generation, or even our time, whatever generation, is like almost kind of going back to this theological framework. Like, it's like as we're getting better, as we're going through these cycles, you can see the priorities shift from generation to generation, and it is kind of uplifting to think about how, at least in our space, we're really trying to go back to a truth that seems more valuable. But it's not to diminish the stories of our grandfathers and our parents. And like they created a path for us and our generation to focus on the different. Is that not, am I the only one that sees that as so amazing? Like I think about Teo, like, your parents clearly did something to get you into the place where you had an opportunity to do something. Again, our parents, our grandparents, they were flawed, but it's amazing how these cycles, like think about where your kids will be and what opportunities your generation is providing for the next generation to try to focus on something that maybe is going to be more important for them.
Yeah, that optimism I wish was something that I and my peers share, but not necessarily. But you're right, it is because my grandparents on my dad's side were successful enough later in their life that they were able to have the last two children, which were my dad and his little sister in England, which gave my dad birthright citizenship. Except he didn't grow up. He did not grow up in England. He lived in grew up in Nigeria. Um, but because he was born here, he was able to uh, go through all the process to get a British passport to come here and his little sister and her children to come live in England. And eventually, I also got the opportunity. So yeah, my journey to the West began with the sacrifice and the diligence of my grandparents for sure. And my dad saw that as something to be chased. Hence why he worked so hard to get he and his little sister over to England. So those last two generations shared that dream of, yeah, this is where to be. But very honest, myself, my cousins, my little brother, who is the one that's over 18, not so much. It's I know there's the pattern of the ungrateful prince that becomes king and actually did not soak in the wisdom required to become king. That's a part of it where you're not, particularly the ones that I was born in Nigeria, so I grew up in Nigeria. But if you're a second generation immigrant, you was just born in the West, you might not. The sacrifice that your parents and the generation before them made for the dream might not be as salient to you. But at the same time, the similarly to the natives, my generation, everyone's very much not buying the propaganda of the dream of go to university, you get a job, you get a house. That's not worked out for, like, I don't know, 30 years, but that still seems to be the current pattern. Is you go through school, you get a job, um, and also the education, which you mentioned, was one of the big parts of the dream. Is you go to school. That's how you become a functional member in this new modern world. Is you go to school. But
What would you recommend is the correct? So like obviously the old framework was school, get a job, you'll have a career type thing, right? But now with like AI, to kind of dismantling the you're gonna need to have this adaptability. What would you wish for the next generation to focus on instead of like the traditional school education type path,
God,
Yeah, right. That's what I was saying.
the school thing was, uh, that's how you got programmed. That's how everyone got colonized, and to become a functional part of the modern world. And I think for everyone, not just immigrants, natives as well, there are the points where, with the advent of the internet and the proliferation of information, and everyone doing a podcast about how all the elites have been fucking everyone else, uh, everyone's become jaded by, okay, well, I don't want to be programmed, but there isn't any alternative apart from the school, because the school became secular, and this is still a secular world that we're living in. So what I would prefer is that the world become less secular. We put the we put the Bible back in the school, because that's the Christians started the schools.
What do you think, Chad?
I'm just baffled how Ootlam still exists in my chat somehow. I can't see her, but
Yeah, you have to.
how is she
You'd have
able
to
to
actually.
be?
You'd actually have to ban her, I think, in Streamyard as well as YouTube. But she
Well,
hates me for that. And just to be clear, I
I
really,
saw
I
you did that.
really, I really love both of them, and I really do, regardless of how they think I see them. I just want skin in the game, right? So coming coming on, even if you're not showing your face, is another level of skin in the game. Plus, the other aspect with Claire is that I want you to hear what I'm saying, and instead of framing it always the same way. So that's my thing with this whole thing. It's like I love them to death. I really value them being present, and I just wish.
No, well, we don't do that.
Oh, that Brandon is so goated.
I know. I want that.
No.
So say we all. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Ho, ho, ho.
Well, thanks for just dumping your garbage. Thanks for just dumping your garbage over in my property. I'll pick it up. Thank you.
Young Jermaine walked the straight and narrow.
Young Jermaine on the straight and narrow.
I always liked that one. I always like making PBK kind of look like a thug. He's like looking at the guy. It's funny to me. Anyways, whatever.
It's funny if PPK had
Let's
just
get back
been
to
out,
the dream.
the guy would have just grabbed up his garbage very quickly. Just seeing this giant
Yeah.
romance.
All right, let's get back to dreaming. What do you think? Okay, so yeah, because I'm not sure if I think I don't think my dream includes the idea of nationalism or whatever. Maybe that's a little kind of what would the word be? Well, because like I was saying before, even though I very much like the American dream is a big piece of my identity. I don't fly the flag on my property, you know. It's not out of shame or anything. It's just out of like I'm not that I'm kind of like a pray in your closet American, kind of like that, I guess, where it's like I want to go to work. I want to, you know, do I wish I had a better paying job? Who doesn't? You know, like I like my job. I am grateful for it, and it's a good job, but that's a part of our livelihood here. And but I'm not like I could be doing a lot more as it relates to my participation at the level of civic, like or governmental or something. So yeah. So am I the best American dreamer? Well, no. I have aspects of the dream that I participate in that are important, I think. And I reap the benefits of being able to be lazy at this point. But
Now, here's the thing, and this is what you've been. I mean, whatever. I'm not to try to cast shade on any denomination, but one of the things that Protestant movement really did is they were trying to put value on everybody's gift and calling and work that they do contributes to the greater. And so there's value in the tile layer. There's value in the, you know, all of these, you know, so I'm not called to be a political person. I don't, if I was, I'd have the passion in my heart and I'd be active in my civil government. Again, it's not about me resting on everyone else's laurels. I'm literally, I really see that there are other people that are called and have those gifts that to step into those spaces. So, I mean, I'm not residing my agency in my mind, because I think there's two different kingdoms we're talking about. I mean, we share that framework, you know? So what you're doing, Chad, is valuable to the community, you know?
I mean, I'm not, I haven't I haven't said that it wasn't. I mean, this is not a. I guess if yeah, the denominational argument or whatever is. I don't know. I don't know why it has to go there. Like it's
No, it's just that because of the history, it was like, the educated were bound, and the most important people from a hierarchy standpoint was the educated, and the learned. And so when Protestants were, and again, nothing about Catholics did a lot for charity and for the poor. And again, that's not what I'm talking about, the value of the everyday man and what his work consisted of and why it was valuable to the greater thing was emphasized. I wasn't really making it a denominational thing. I was just sharing the history and the evolution.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't mean to make it a big thing, and I hope it wasn't
But
for you.
I don't think it has to go, you don't have to go through that, get stuck on that loop. But I do think there's something to what yours, because I think the opposite of the point I think you're trying to make, Brett, which I think the point you're trying to make is there's something to the individual calling aspect of we don't all, show our reverence, our patriotism in the same way, and there's value, and it's equally as patriotic to just be a tax-paying man that's taking care of his family as it is to be someone that, campaigning for a local government or something like that. So yeah, I get what you're saying, but I think though that I don't know if that, because I think that's part of the American dream is this individual. I think Chad's framing of his grandmother, sort of the rags to riches story, is a good way of putting the American dream, which is like anyone, doesn't matter who, when, where, anyone can get on that train and ride that journey that will get you from point A to point B, where B is better than A. I think, however, the sort of sentiment nowadays is there's a lot more influence from the elites as to who gets to get from point A to point B and how quickly they do it. Let's be right back.
Emergency.
So welcome. The part of the interesting part about the rags to riches thing is so even though my grandmother, I think her and her husband worked, I think they were afforded certain privileges and things like this sort of thing in the time that they lived, and for all these different reasons they were able to be part of the early middle class, I think, or maybe like the last kind of wave of middle class that existed in America. But that didn't mean that their children were going to automatically get that, so like that's the other thing. So I think that my family, my mom and stuff, made decisions that that looked very different, and the outcome of those decisions were very different than what my grandmother and grandfather had. And so there's that there's still always this I think even if you or your extended family had, let's say, rags to riches or whatever, it still requires you to if you want what they have, you still have to kind of put in your own pursuit. There's no like free automatic middle classery or something like this. Like you know what I mean? So welcome. What have you to say, Megan? Please save the stream.
Oh gosh. Lots of thoughts. I I think I thought of like American Dream kind of as the way you were describing it, Chad, as like opportunity, and more often than not, the opportunity in my mind to either create a different world so that my children have a different place to live, a different and better place. Like it was almost less about me, the metaphorical me, and more about what I can create for future. And I think a lot of that sort of tied into, like getting out of oppressive places, or like having opportunities for jobs or schools. Like I think that's kind of what it like looked like. But I think ultimately it really felt for me the theme of, can I participate in a way that makes the world better for my kids? That feels to me like the American dream, I guess. The only caveat I have is I don't know if the ways in which opportunity, like different jobs or schooling or whatever, I don't think that actually pertains to a woman. Or I don't think the American dream is something that women participate in or are supposed to have the narrative of for them, because I feel like that kind of, I don't know, it just feels like a masculine or a male idea. Like I think it's more of a like conquering, changing, whereas a woman's essence feels like a homing supportive. And so I think they can follow these changes, but I don't know if they're necessarily supposed to be called for the specifics of those changes, if that makes sense. And so I think it's hard to talk to, because I feel like I did get all this opportunity and I do have all this privilege and I do like this, that, and the other. But if I participate in them, I feel like I'm moving away from creating the next generation for these privileges to be able to like bear fruit, right? And so like something about me going to school, having a career, doing all these things, while it's beautiful and great, and I think, I'm not saying that women should not do that. However, who's going to be raising the generation that's going to be like partaking of these fruits? And that's where I see a little bit of like I don't know if that's for me to be participating in necessarily. And that's my opinion, not necessarily women and men. I hate always making it about that issue, but it is a thing. I don't know. It feels like
don't you think that I mean, the power that women have in the formation of men influence it's like the rudder that's steering a ship, right? It's like, okay, we might have a head the front of the boat, but the woman helps with the guiding of that boat. It's like and that's so, I hate to minimize the value of that,
Oh, I see that as the most important part. Like the woman is sitting on top looking around and it's like, hey, I see we're going this way. Maybe we should direct. And then the man will literally do the action of directing. And so like, I think that's a great analogy for like how these, I'm going to call them energies, because I don't want to say specifically all men and all women, but the energies of that, I think that, like, that's the only way that we go and know where we're going at the same time. Like you have to have both of those working together. And if we're all just going, then we have no idea what we're like about to encounter. And so I think there has to be people sitting back and not just doing. And I think the American dream for me is the opportunity to do. And so it's like, I think anyone can participate, but I just feel like some people might not be, ought be doing. They should be helping the doing or something.
Embrace your role, right?
So yesterday on Rigel's stream, Sam, when he was on there, he mentioned how Sam is like, he's the guy who like daydreams about the big picture. And then his wife's like, yo, why don't we do this right here? Do this thing. And I'm like, yes, that's my experience too. And then I hear this experience actually echoed around. And so I love this point because this is why I think the dream to really, the American dream to really unfold, it's a two-party dream, really. I mean, that's where I think it's most robust. So you have the masculine, which is focused largely on legacy, whether it's his own family's legacy or his legacy in the overall big picture. And so he's dreaming about going and crossing the land and finding some place, and he dreams that his children and grandchildren will have this or that, and then the wife is like she specializes in a hospitality and instances. So the feminine is like making sure that she is able to ground his dream of legacy in the now, and he's so grateful for that. I think
like
that's and she's grateful, and she's really grateful that he has the kind of stupidity to dream for legacy, right? Because she doesn't have time to really deal with this bullshit of dreaming about these faraway things. But thank God somebody is kind of, and so like they work really well together. I love this picture. To me, that is essential American dream.
Isn't it the what and then the how?
Whatever it is, it's not the this and that
versus the how we're doing it.
It's what we're talking about, Brett, is it's the both and.
Yeah.
It's the fecundity of the spirit of the American dream, how it actually unfolds. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I was just thinking about, I keep seeing images, thumbnails or stories about the gal that was, I don't know if she was ever married to the guy from Amazon. Maybe she's the ex-wife of the Amazon guy, Jeff Bezos or whatever. But she keeps giving away like billions of dollars. And that to me is like, it's like, well, Mr. Bezos, you said that you wanted this in your legacy, so here you go. And I'm just going to give all of your earnings away that I got out of the divorce. It's interesting to me. I don't know. There's something about that, but yeah. Okay, I'll stop. Somebody else go on.
I also wanted to add that I think I was saying it really early on in the chat, but it was something along the lines of, I think I'm also conflating the American dream with like American privilege, because like all the privileges that I have, like I think I said the metaphor of like I'm like it's like my water and I'm fish. It's like I don't even know how good I have it, like because I haven't seen the other side of it. I mean, I can look and imagine all day, but like I don't like know that, and so that feels like a different idea of what, because I think of like, what is it, Fievel Goes West or whatever, or like American Tale or something like that. Like that's what I think of. I'm like, I didn't do that. Like I didn't have to earn anything that all the privilege that I have. Like am I even like worthy of speaking on this idea, because I don't understand it. Like I just have it. And so it's like this weird, like, I don't think I'm searching for it. In fact, I think what it is another thing I said is I think it's my excuse to not have to try harder, or it's my prison of like, I can't try to do something more. I can't complain about my circumstances. It's like all of these things all at once. It's like, I have all this privilege so I can't complain that I'm not happy, but I also don't realize how much privilege I have all at the same time. And so it's like, it's a weird concept for me.
This is why going overseas and experiencing other countries I feel like really helps. Not everybody has to do it, but in order for them to understand the proper orientation of gratitude, you know, because we talk about that in certain programs a lot, you know, an attitude of gratitude. It's like, you know, it's easy to lose the forest for the trees without the proper orientation of that.
Welcome. I love the
Hey,
shirt.
Tim, what's up, buddy?
Yo.
So okay, to Megan's point about she feels like you said you don't feel like it's appropriate to, I don't know, I can't remember exactly what I said, but I think it's like it's a both and. It's like men need to be inspired too, right? Like so they like or not men. I'll have to pause on that. What do you got to say, Tim?
Yeah, give us your optimism, brother.
So like, there are some things that make me really proud to be an American, not just because of like, you know, bigger is better, right? Like our country is incredibly large and spans so many different like climate regions, habitats. I mean, you have like a jungle down in Florida, you have this incredible dry desert out in the Southwest, you have California, which has, you know, the most diverse, but like there's nowhere in the world that you can see more diverse habitats of birds than in California.
That's a good sell.
Like, you know, there's the Chesapeake Bay watershed. We have the Appalachian Gold Belt. You know, there's the Rocky Mountains. It's just unbelievable. And, like, throughout American history, there's just been these really odd, you know, because like I don't talk enough about the things that I am proud of, but like, yeah, there's history of like strife and suffering and, you know, authoritarians just, you know, kicking down the man and stuff. But then there's these really weird things that like don't make any sense. Like Teddy Roosevelt, like setting aside massive swaths of very valuable land and saying this belongs to the people. Right? Like I just finished a hunter safety education course, and one of the chapters was on like who owns the wildlife in the United States. And the answer was all citizens do. You know? And like that's really unique around the world. You know, it's not the king's deer, it's the people's deer. And like when you know, like I grew up learning like Exodus and the Bible and stuff like that, and there's a section in Exodus where some slaves get freed, and it, you know, it's not necessarily a happy story for either group, but in America, like, you know, England, to Tayo, like, you should be very proud of like setting off a chain reaction around the world of like, we're not doing this anymore. And then with America, like they fought, I'm going to say they, not we, because I wasn't there, but like they fought a war against brothers. And, you know, the war wasn't, I won't say the war was won, an agreement was reached. And there was a transition of power that I don't understand. Like I'm not an expert on history, but like I've never seen a transfer of power like that, where massive economic benefits and property were just eliminated for the sake of a moral valence. And like that's something to be proud of, right? Like now, yes, there are great amounts of suffering that need to be acknowledged, but when I look at those things, I become so proud of being in this lineage of men and women that did these incredible things that like flew in the face of, you know, mammalian instinct. And like, you know, Italy has Michelangelo, but we have George Washington, you know. And like when I look at the framework of the United States that has remained somewhat intact for this long, it's like I'm looking at the Statue of David. Like it's our own beautiful piece of art.
Wow.
Thank you.
That was so inspiring, Tim. Truly. But for real though, it's very very nice to hear you speak that way about America, because as someone that's spoken to you and seen you on the stream a few times, I know you've got a lot of, you know, other things to say about your country that's not so favorable. So that was very, very, very nice.
So say we all.
Yeah, I take back all that
'Cause
stuff
I
I
think
said
we all
before.
did.
We're the
That's part of
best.
USA.
No, I think Tim, I love that, because like part of the thing is like part of owning the legacy of your home, of your household, I suppose, is obviously accepting and acknowledging the disasters that came before, so that the home that you're living in now is somewhat stable and beautiful, right? And so like I'm right there with you. Like excuse me, actually most of my young life I had a very kind of cynical perspective on this place, on the water that I swim in, the American. I had a very cynical idea of the American dream, and so yeah, I love the framing that you have there, because it I do believe in the idea that though there's all this kind of bullshit that we've engaged in that has caused strife and horror for people, many people. And I will say we, I guess, even though I wasn't there, in a cosmological burrito sense, I'm still there. So it's like part of my responsibility, I feel like, as a steward of the American dream, is to try to do what I can today to live a grateful perspective. So when Brett talks about gratitude, I think gratitude it's an attitude of gratitude is the things you do, not the things you think, I guess. So yeah, dude, fucking Tim, you fucking came in here and saved the stream, son of a bitch. I love it.
You know my
Well,
mom?
should we well, I wasn't talking about you, but yes, I know your mom.
I'm sorry, Mom. I can't believe you said that.
That's
It is
such a
funny
American.
though, with the connection between family. You know, like I was speaking about my parents coming out of alcoholism, recognizing the negative influences through my family's lineage, you know, and how it impacted the family, and then focusing on that. And I get to benefit from their earlier recovery of that. So I was able to kind of correct my ship because I had something to look at. And same with like the American story, you know, it's like building on things and trying to make a change. As difficult and ugly as it is, we own the ugly, but realizing the change that occurred through the ugly, you know? I like that, Tim. That's how I was seeing it.
Now what do you got to say, Megan?
Me?
Yeah.
You're
Well,
the
I
only one here.
I guess I just still don't really know how it pertains to women, but that's just like that's a me thing. Like I mean, yeah, but like you hear all these stories and like there's not a lot of the women who seem to be involved in it. I mean, they probably were in the background, right? Like, but
So there was a pivotal battle in the Baltimore Harbor at Fort McHenry that was being watched by some lib from Frederick, Maryland, where I live now, named Francis Scott Key. And as McHenry was being bombarded with shells from British frigates, and the night Scott, he could only see what was happening every couple of seconds as each subsequent ordnance exploded and, cut the night for a second. He saw a giant flag flying tattered and worn, standing tall again. And a woman made that flag. A woman gave us that flag. Because men don't know how to sew.
I knew where it was going before we even started.
There's your place, Megan. You found it.
Yeah, but I don't know how to do that, and I broke my thumb a long time ago. I can't do that. So what's my purpose?
If you
I guess
can't
you don't.
sew-
I guess
Well, I'll say,
got me there.
wait until you have wait until like I think maybe some of the fruition of understanding of your what you would have to say about it as a woman might be more relevant if and when you have children. But I also wrote this down. This concept I think is maybe it's not just an American concept, but I think it's an important one. The idea of that my kids are your responsibility is an important, and maybe even that pisses people off. But the idea is like, it's an attitude, right? This idea of maybe if I never have kids, that maybe the way that I live has an effect on your family, and so that in that way, I'm going to be responsible for that. And so if we all kind of understand that's to be the way that life actually plays out, and we actually kind of own that, then that to me says, then that would give like maybe give you be something more to say about the thing itself. You see what I mean? Is that, or am I making zero sense on this rambling shit?
It makes me think of baptism. That's kind of how we treat baptism. If you believe in infant baptism, it's like the church is agreeing to do the best they can in the spiritual formation of this child. And collectively as a community, it's very much the same thing. It's analogous. You know what I mean? Like there's a responsibility.
I don't know if you guys would have seen this. It's quite niche, but there's a meme or a video of some American politician at some council meeting, and he gets up and he says, "Yes, we all know it takes a village to raise a child, but what if the village is retarded?" And that's what I was thinking as Chad was saying. As yeah, it's my kid's responsibility, but what if you're retarded? I don't want that influence in my kid.
Is being retarded all that bad? They seem very happy.
Is it
Thank you.
Jane,
If
you have like a stand up about that?
Well, we
Yeah,
can all
no,
stand to be a little retarded. Okay, yeah, go ahead, B.
I was just gonna say, I think like in a village, like all that like kind of makes sense. But like if you live like in a house by yourself, like separated by like walls and streets and states from like your village, like how is a woman supposed to cultivate that type of personality? I don't think I have I don't have the space to be safe and do it. I don't it doesn't make sense. I have to, well, I guess this is a bad thing to say right now because I'm not working, but yeah, I have to work and support myself and make my own food and take care of my dog. And I don't have someone helping me or a village helping me or something. But I don't know, so I don't know how to, I think you're right, Chad, I think that, if I were to have kids, but even in that sense, I'm helping all of my friends with their kids because I do believe that it takes a village. And I do have the capacity and the time right now to devote to my friends, to raise their kids because, I want to influence them in some way too. Right. But I don't know. It doesn't seem to work the way I picture it biologically making sense. And so I don't know how to deal with both of those sides, the reality and the reality. They both seem very different. I don't know.
That's a good question. Is there because Chad, you used the example of your grandmother, which again, I think is very apt. But it can be sort of said that hero's journey is a masculine one of, the entrepreneurial to start your own business, um, the time needed for that. Is there a more feminine American dream that does not require you to go slay a dragon or knit flags?
No, yeah, Jan got had a good thing in the chat where it's I feel like I'm supposed to inherit my culture from my female ancestors, and I don't have any female models. I don't know who who do I look up to? Taylor Swift? I don't know who's my female of choice.
Beyonce, of course.
Beyonce? Oh, Queen. Yeah. But
Queen
I just
Bee.
yeah, exactly. I and I don't know, I don't think you necessarily are supposed to be looking at the women who are in the top roles, because that's not actually what I think the embodiment of being a good woman in society is. I think it's very much not the people in the limelight, and you don't meet those people unless you bump into those people or they're a part of your community. And so it's yeah, I don't know. So it doesn't make sense to me.
So this is the Grimgir shadow matriarchy needs to be revived, because that basically is where it's going to be, right? It's going to be at the level of the granny or the granny, the mother, the daughter, all kind of participating at the level of the group in a church, and they're actually the ones who are running the whole show. Only they're not explicitly given credit for it, but everybody knows that it's the case. And so maybe maybe it's more maybe the feminine, I don't know, I'm mansplaining here, but I'll do my best to do better at this mansplaining. But maybe the feminine role in the American dream is to be fuck that stupid dream, get to work. Maybe that's what the woman's goal is. It's yeah, okay, go dream your dream with your buddies. Well, but make sure that you get this done and this done and this done. Go fucking mow the lawn. And so it's something like that, I think. And because the other thing is this, as a man, one of the things that brings the most joy into my life is when I get a nice pat on the back and admiration from my wife, because I did mow the lawn and did the stupid one thing, and then I get to kind of still be encouraged by this instinct of the dreamer, and so that together we can do this thing, and maybe my wife's admonition that she can't stand useless men is kind of maybe that's actually maybe that's the American dream, and from the woman's perspective is I can't stand useless men. and so it inspires men to be less useless, and together they're able to actually do this kind of like Tonos thing
Well,
to
that's
bring
why I
another
think
Vervaekian. Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say that's why I think the American dream in like the mind of a woman could be very toxic, because like if I can do anything a man can do and I'm doing it, then like everything that you do is not something worthy of getting a pat on the back for, or I don't see it as that because I could have just done it myself, or like I'm probably quicker and like I don't know, like like without a reminder, or like I don't know. I think it breeds like apathy and resentment, and I think like having that narrative in like a woman's mind, like it does like make it harder for men to live that dream and harder for women to like support it. And so I don't know, it's a tough.
Well, again, I don't think when my wife says I can't stand a useless man, it's not that she can't do she can't do the things. It's like it's that and that this came about because somebody at her work was talking about how they went to their whatever. This guy at work was talking about how he went to the brother-in-law's house or something, and they were building like an A-frame for the Christmas lights or some shit. And the guy was like completely puzzled by this, and he had no idea how any of this happened. And she just was thinking how this guy that she works with is completely useless. He doesn't even know how to work a drill. He doesn't know how to run a circular saw. That this guy should obviously. Now, my wife didn't claim that she did know how to do those things, but like obviously you should know how to do these things. You're a guy, like what happens when when something breaks or something. So again, I think there's a pairing there that makes us uncomfortable to talk about, because we don't like these kinds of roles, or we don't like to admit that these kinds of roles are better. They roll out better when we actually rest within our roles more securely, I guess. The more I talk, the more I'm getting sick of my voice. What do you guys think?
Don't you like
last thoughts?
Yeah, let me just say this then. I think that like breaking the curse in the garden is almost like the value of recognizing that we're different and that we do have different roles, and appreciating the roles we do have, and it's just like hard for me to not see it that way. You know what I mean? So that's my last thoughts.
For the next stream, we're gonna have a drinking game where every time Brett says "Don't you think" or "Don't you," then you have to take a drink. Tayo, what's your last thoughts?
I'm asking though.
Next stream, I'm going to go back to being a sour dickhead.
Perfect. You're welcome to do that here, my friend.
Yeah, I wanted to say something on that previous thing you guys were talking about. This is just my opinion, but it seems to me that like throughout American history, at least, like women were early on big tidal shifts. Like a lot of the early abolitionists were women. A lot of the early, suffragettes were women until, they had to convince the men, like, no, this is what we're gonna do, and yeah, they got laughed at. But then all of a sudden, I don't think the civil rights movement of the 60s would have come about if the suffragettes hadn't laid the path. And when I think about what's our situation now, I think it's actually healthcare. And that's just my opinion, but I read that I think in the past year or the past 6 months, 300,000 jobs were added to the economy, and 98% of those jobs were filled by women. And most of it was in healthcare. And so, like, I also look at like the TikTok scandals, and every week some whole doctor's office is getting fired for like filming a patient, you know, experiencing some embarrassing thing, and they're all like making fun of, and a lot of it is women. And it's like, why did you think that was appropriate? Like, because then they get fired and they're like, I can't believe I got fired. So, like, we do need leaders in healthcare, not just, you know, male leaders, but we need female leaders to start turning the tides to the point where we don't have young men roaming the streets of New York with 3D printed guns assassinating healthcare CEOs, right? So if you're looking for something to do, could you change the entire healthcare system, please?
We're on it. Thank you,
I'm
Tim.
promoting integrated health, so don't follow the insurance companies. Then you can actually care about the full person. But that doesn't make enough money, though.
Kyle, any last words?
My final thought was something like a lot of the glory that the American Empire gets, I feel, belongs partly to the British Empire because you are our descendants. So we'll take the credit for the good that you do in the world, and you can have all the blame for the terrible things you've done in the world. That was all you.
We're grateful to do that while you sit enviously on your little island. Megan, what would you like to say?
Oh, I'm just grateful to be here. Thanks for allowing me on the stream.
Right on. Well, everybody have a really great Saturday. I'm going to go be a father and husband. And I really appreciate you ironing this out with me. And it was a lot of fun. I very much appreciate it.
Thank you, Chad. Love you, brother.
I'll probably see you when I see you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Let's see. Not yet. I'm going to go here. Go to media assets. Go here. Edit that bitch. Edit. Let's see. Here we go. Maybe not that one. Maybe we'll make it more this one. We'll do this one. The this song is the, and this video is the practical outgrowth of the American dream. Have a great day. Bye.
Just king, great king. People error, people king, big, just king, king. Happy, many down, many jack king from right. Just new king, big, great can new, happy. Are not what they seem, the hours. People very just king, great king. People error, people king, big, just king, king. Happy, many down, many jack king from right. Just new king, big, great, can new, happy. from right. Just King Big. Great Canu happy. The owls are not what they seem. The owls.
All right, that one's a little self-indulgent.